Friday Night Funkin' is an indie game that exploded in popularity in late 2020. While many projects have gone viral over the years, few have reached the same level of phenomenon. It spawned an entire industry of fan content across social media. This is largely because of its modability, allowing for easy and complete customization. That community has since taken on a life of its own, becoming one of the biggest draws to the game. But that's also where the problems began to arise. When you create an easy path to fame in a community of mostly children, it, unfortunately, enables a lot of predatory behavior. And that takes us to the story of Sky. But before I go any further, this video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Are you spending time in the deep dark corners of the internet this holiday season? Or are you using heated gamer language in chat like Deller? My God! Well, whatever you're doing online, you should be doing it safely with Surfshark VPN. When you use a VPN, no one can find your location, especially not Mr. G, who would love to ruin your Christmas by stealing all of your private data.
Hey Tom, looks like I got your location using your IP address. Prepare to have a very rough Christmas.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Just arrived in China. You're not Chinese. Where the hell are you?
Better luck next time. I was using Surfshark VPN. Browse privately with Surfshark, which encrypts your internet activity so no one can track or steal your data. Make sure to stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Surfshark will keep you safe even on unknown networks by encrypting your online data. And of course, protect your identity. Get notified if your personal data has been leaked somewhere online. If you are sending or receiving files and sensitive information, you should be doing it securely. With Surfshark, you can keep your location and download history private by encrypting all of your internet traffic. So what are you waiting for? Start preparing for the holidays today with a 24-month VPN plan from Surfshark. Right now, they have a great offer, an extra 3 months free and 85% off. It's valid until December 31st, so don't miss it. And by the way, it's available for all of your devices and has a 30-day money-back guarantee. Just scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description and use my promo code TurkeyTom. Your IP address is top secret with Surfshark. In April of 2021, an account called BF's Wife Forever became notorious on TikTok. It was run by a kid who, like many, created animation memes of their OC, Sky. But, unlike other fans, they had a deep hatred for one of the game's main characters. Friday Night Funkin' centers around a boyfriend trying to impress his love interest. But, as their username implies, the artist had a crush on the protagonist. This resulted in a video where Sky crucifies, tortures, and kills girlfriend. It quickly went viral as word spread across social media of the laughably bad cartoon. The attention wasn't all mean-spirited though, as others instead found the earnestness endearing. People began drawing fan art, inducting Sky to the growing cast of community-made characters. That sentiment became especially common after mod creator BB Panzu took notice. On April 8th, he published Versus Sky, a fully fleshed out mod based on the TikToks. It features original artwork, music, and even cutscenes. Versus Sky was released to massive acclaim. His official showcase sits at nearly 6 million views. In the description box, he shouts out her creator, linking to the account and viewers to show them love. This led them to accumulate 50,000 followers overnight. Everything seemed perfect, with Sky becoming more and more prominent in the fanbase. But, tragically, that's where the story takes a dark turn. You see, there's a large subsection of the community devoted to adult content. Once Sky got popular, it wasn't long before they took notice as well. But this became an issue after her creator was discovered to be only 12 years old. Their age was first revealed by BB Panzu on a community post. This led many to begin questioning his decision to make a mod in the first place. No hate, but why on earth did BB Panzu make a mod entirely based off of some 12-year-old kid and not predict this would happen? Why did they have to make a mod about one kid in particular, knowing how horny FNF fans are? While most felt guilty, some took it as an invitation to harass the preteen even further. BF's wife Forever was inundated with death threats and smuts until one day they snapped. On April 26, a group of trolls raided her creator's Discord, flooding it with adult fan art. It had happened before, but this time, the artist decided to fight back with her own collection of gore and porn. That decision was heavily criticized by the community, effectively exposing minors to even worse. Now, getting backlash from both sides, BF's wife Forever ended up having a mental breakdown. It's culminated with a stream on TikTok in which they urinated on camera. Upon hearing this, BB Panzu was overcome with guilt. He immediately deleted the mod from Game Banana, writing, "I ruined their life." He then elaborated on the decision in a community post. When I initially saw their TikTok, I was reminded of Sans fangirls and how they were treated in the fandom. I didn't want another person doing some harmless self-indulgence to be bullied on the internet, so I made the mod as a sort of embracement of cringe, and how it doesn't have to ruin a fandom. That's why I spent a lot of time on it. It kind of worked, having people celebrate Sky the character and sending the creator fan art, which I intended. But, of course, that doesn't outweigh the negative effects it had, such as being surrounded in an environment of not safe for work of their character. Not to mention, the sudden fame caused him to receive death threats, all while only being a kid. I can only imagine how bad I've affected their life, and I truly regret it. By the time you're reading this, the mod should probably be down, never to be found. Shortly after, the character itself was indefinitely banned from the community. Naturally, much of what transpired that day wasn't totally documented. This led to some level of ambiguity over what had actually occurred, but BF's wife Forever quickly confessed to everything. They issued a public apology for sending gore, promising to never do it again. They also admitted to peeing on stream because they thought it was funny. Following this, it became impossible for BF's wife Forever to continue in the fandom, and on May 4th, the artist deleted all of their accounts on social media, leaving the community for good. By this point, it's worth clarifying a few things regarding the initial drama. While BB Panzu assumed Sky to be a self-insert, the character was officially 19. BF's wife Forever was also unclear about their age, later claiming to be 14. That doesn't change much, but I referenced their age before, so I know people are going to ask about it. In spite of all of this, that didn't mean the end for Sky as a character. In the original mod, she alludes to performing a shift to appear in the game. Many fans decided to expand on that concept, creating their own interpretations of the character. This included an adult-oriented version from 4chan known as Sky Blue, but one rose above the rest for being the canonical continuation of Sky. Before leaving, BF's wife Forever gave ownership of her to a close friend named Kitsune Skulls. This would be revealed on December 18th, when he debuted the new design on Twitter. It was received very, very poorly. New Sky was criticized for being edgy, as well as being made related to random characters in the game. The whole point of the character was a fan so obsessed with boyfriend that they warped reality. Now, Sky hated him and instead had a crush on girlfriend. Regardless, people reluctantly accepted the change after BB Panzu endorsed it. This led the community-wide ban on Sky to be lifted. It was good timing too, as the 1-year anniversary of the original mod was quickly approaching. On April 8th, 2022, 2 mods paying tribute to Sky were released. The first was Sky Remanifested by Mother Team. It builds off the original with dozens of new songs, remixes, and cutscenes. The second is New Sky Mod and the Skyverse, based on Kitsune Skull's design. It too features a massive wealth of content. If either is to be official, the latter has both her owner involved as well as BB Panzu. Between both mods, there is over an hour of gameplay, showing there was still love for Sky despite everything. But just as things went south 1 year ago, shockingly, the character would once again be put center to yet another controversy surrounding its owner. On May 12th, Kitsune Skulls was exposed in a Google Doc from an anonymous individual. They claimed the two had been dating for 3 years. The accuser was 14 and Kitsune 17 at the time of writing. They allege him to be abusive, often sending photos of their self-harm wounds. This apparently included one incident where he carved their name on his inner thigh. They refer to him as a pedophile, pointing to artwork seemingly depicting minors having intercourse. They also show messages of him him being obsessive. Kitsune responded to this by refuting them being in a relationship at all. Instead, he explains that he was only obsessed with being their friend. He also reveals this had been a debate for some time in private, with their fathers allegedly threatening each other with legal action over the accusations. Regardless of what is true or not, because I'm honestly not sure, the narrative in the community was that Kitsune Skulls was some kind of groomer, and so it wasn't long before they decided to leave the community as well. I'm so tired. I've fallen into a hole of lies and rumors being spread about me so people can hate me and get a mod canceled that isn't even out yet. I don't know what more you want from me. I love Sky. I love the character I have created. I love what BB Panzu is doing with her. I love what people are doing when it comes to headcanons and making their own versions. But at what cost? My mental health has just plummeted ever since. This is hell. I can't take it anymore. Following this, they abandoned the account and have since never returned. While the ownership over Sky was never formally transferred, the creator of the Skyverse would end up adopting her. They are now largely recognized as the owner of the character. That, for the most part, is where the controversies surrounding Sky end. It's honestly crazy to think that a single fan-made character can be the subject of this much drama. But as we'll soon discover, it's far from an isolated incident. Friday Night Funkin' mods aren't limited to original creations. In fact, most reference pre-existing characters and ideas. This can range from gaming mascots to more niche internet genres like creepypasta. That takes us to Maymay's for days. Throughout 2021, he tried to make a name for himself in the FNF community. He started out with mashups of pre-existing songs to moderate success, but the real recognition came after he began making mods. His first featured the original characters Kai and Korra. Kai was a self-insert, something that'll become apparent later. It was released as a demo in June to promote a fundraiser. He claims to have hired 2 voice actors who were in a pretty bad situation and needed help to survive. If we can raise $2,000, the Kai mod will have animated cutscenes with voice actors. To this day, the GoFundMe sits at exactly $0. Shortly after, he released his second mod based on Dr. Robotnik, but it wasn't until his third that he gained some notoriety. That Halloween, he released Sunday Night Suicide, a mod based on the creepypasta Suicide Mouse. It quickly garnered millions of views, and his channel gained 20,000 subscribers over the next month. It was downloaded 200,000 times, cementing him as a notable figure in the fandom. But a sentiment that'll be very recurrent in this video is not everyone is necessarily equipped to deal with an audience, and that became apparent as the Maze became more outspoken. On several occasions, he vented about getting banned from TikTok. While never specific about the reason, at least one of these was due to a bizarre post he made about Kai. In a strange attempt to see if others found him attractive, he drew the character in underwear. Slight NSFW warning, so I posted this on TikTok out of curiosity to see if Kai was simp material. It ended up getting huge backlash, so I need to ask, does Kai look younger than he is? He's 23, and I had zero intent to make him look any younger. Some people even said he looked like he was 4 years old. That wasn't the only time he did this either. At one point, he even posted lewd artwork of one of his voice actors. But apart from being odd, he was also quite tone deaf. On November 17th, Lil Nas X appeared on The Maury Show to stage a fake confrontation with his ex-boyfriend. There, it's revealed the ex was not only married, but had cheated on him with 10 other guys. Maze saw this sketch and thought it was genuine, feeling empathetic enough to pay respect. So, I heard about how Lil Nas X's boyfriend had an affair with 10 other people. I felt awful for Lil Nas. I wanted to make a FNF tribute song to him where he'd vent his feelings to boyfriend, who visibly felt bad for him. Should I do it? While the affair was fake, the idea of thinking this is appropriate was beyond hysterical, and unsurprisingly, the comments were flooded with people mocking him. He did not take this well. In response to one hater, he replied, "Shut the fuck up, you bastard." This light ribbing was enough for him to not only cancel the mod, but threaten to leave entirely. He wrote a lengthy post expressing that if he did, he'd have everything related to him taken down. If this continues to happen, anyone who has made fan art, let's plays, remixes, etc., will be told to take down everything that has to do with any of my mods. This is your final warning. The comments made a complete turn, with Maze now receiving an influx of support. One fan felt so concerned they even reached out to him in private, but instead of a thank you, Maze confided that it was all part of an elaborate scheme. Let me let you in on a secret. There's a reason I'm doing that. If the mods are taken down, there will be no one to blame but the haters. See where I'm going with this? The thread was seemingly done to intentionally mobilize his audience against anyone making fun of him. And it did work, at least until this screenshot leaked. The truth led him to face even harsher backlash, this time from previous supporters. It was just a huge red flag. He'd proven himself untrustworthy and willing to lie maliciously. With so much negative attention, Maze attempted to win back the public using his most popular mod. A week after the haters incident, he added a new phase called Really Happy, but this too backfired. Maze had the screen shake rapidly at certain intervals with no seizure warning. That supposedly led one individual to be nearly hospitalized. Upon confrontation, instead of apologizing, he replied, "I wish I never joined this ducking fandom." His complete lack of regard wasn't unnoticed, prompting this response from a user. "You've literally made someone's friend have a seizure and nearly hospitalized because of your mod about a fucking suicidal Disney character. I swear to God, you literally need help." Their pleas, however, fell on deaf ears. Maze continued doubling down, not seeming to understand what epilepsy was. For the people complaining about the screen shaking making them uncomfortable, that's the point. I have no intentions to trigger anything, but the fact that the screen shaking is unsettling for people just means I've done my job. So thank you for telling me I did my job well. As a result, his two voice actors, Blue and Crit VA, left the project. Eventually, Maze was forced to admit fault, addressing all the controversies in a YouTube community post. He spends most of it pointing out he wasn't the only person to make mistakes. He also clarifies being 18, so there wasn't an issue with him posting suggestive artwork. But I imagine the concern was more so about his audience. Regardless, these controversies show how irresponsible he may have been before the allegations. Even back then, he managed to alienate almost everyone around him. But things took a dark turn when allegations began to surface on January 2nd, 2022. That day, a document was published on Twitter discussing various allegations about the maze. It is 32 pages long, covering a variety of different subjects. The first was his now defunct Discord server. There was an easily accessible channel called the Chonk Chat, where he and his friends allegedly shared fetish artwork. This later spun off into its own server. Both explicitly prohibited adult content due to the presence of minors. However, he violated his own community rules. One screenshot shows him describing swallowing another man's semen. There were also channels specifically for weight gain and vor, his attempt to make the fandom more kink-friendly. It also contains testimony from his former voice actor, Crit VA. Crit reveals that when he confronted Maze for the haters incident, Maze lied about being framed for murder. This, as it turns out, was because the person told him his mod caused seizures. This infuriated him so much, he severed ties with Maze permanently. On page 4, the author alleges there are several claims of grooming. They only elaborate on one in the document, involving a 15-year-old girl. It reads, Maze attempted to convince a minor to break up with her boyfriend and date him after making her send nudes. This is supported with 3 screenshots. The first is the minor's boyfriend venting about the incident. He is such a fucking pervert. He forced her into doing sexual things with him and asked her to break up with me so many times. He used her after he found out she was autistic and never credited her for anything she did for him. Then, a statement from the girl herself. I am below the age of consent, and as soon as we met, he immediately manipulated me into doing sexual things for him while I wasn't comfortable, right after I told him I have high-functioning autism. The final screenshot shows him and the boyfriend arguing, in which Maze claims she's lying. If you'll notice, there's no direct evidence in these screenshots pertaining to this accusation. That's really an issue throughout this entire document. Many of the claims, for how severe they are not corroborated sufficiently at all, and some could even be outright debunked, like this screenshot being from an explicitly adult channel. Because of this, when he released his initial response to the allegations, it was actually received quite well. Maze outs the victim as being named Lily. He claims that Lily misrepresented what happened while pointing out that she's provided no evidence whatsoever, and that's a valid argument. However, he then argues that this exchange proves his innocence. Maze, you lied to me so you could try to ruin my life. You're legit 1 or 2 years younger than me. How is that pedophilia? Victim, I'm under the age of consent. Maze, and so am I. God, I can't believe you used me like that. Victim, used you? The fuck? Maze, you know what? If this was a way to get me to not be your friend anymore, I got good news for you. We're done. With no substantial evidence either way, it started to become a situation of who do you believe? And while fans supported Maze at first, that trust seemingly eroded over time. His first mistake was when he uploaded a video version of his response. The thumbnail to it is just Insane. I don't know why he did this. But more seriously, on January 19th, the YouTuber Toastify put out a comprehensive video about the situation. He points out that Maze has a history of lying, while dismissing any fault as a mistake.
My point here is that Maze will always go to something as a mistake or a slip-up to address things.
In response, Maze left a comment affirming everything was true up until the grooming. He claimed it changed his perspective to the point of releasing a document holding himself accountable. It was published on January 24th, and like his previous apologies, was lackluster. It's rife with excuses and even attempts to baselessly psychoanalyze his accuser. But at the very least, he promised to change and become more responsible around minors. He admitted to not taking the steps necessary to securing an adult-only space, and at one time at least, it did seem like a genuine mistake. But then, exactly 9 days later, he engaged in erotic roleplay with yet another minor. Maze, give Softy a hickey, someone put on a few pounds. Maze, I sit up, my belly pressed against Softy. Yes, master, would you maybe want to do a VC fat RP, maybe? Oh my, why is there so much of this online? 1 month later, he spoke to a 14-year-old on Instagram about porn. He teaches them what it is, why they should watch it, and about his love of inflation. These screenshots circulated across TikTok, causing him to once again try to debunk them. This time, he claimed to have not known their age. That particular decision would prove fatal to his innocence. His videos caught the attention of a person Maze had dated at the same time of his interactions with Lily. They were 14 years old. The two had previously made an agreement to leave each other alone, but upon realizing he'd potentially victimized others, they decided to finally speak out. This first came in a vague allusion, which Maze immediately took notice of. In response, he wrote an email to their mother asking that it be removed. Hello, it would appear your daughter has broken her end of the deal, which was if I left her alone, she'd do the same. I politely ask she deletes the video and never makes anything about me again. Instead, the victim decided to make a 22-minute expose, posting it to Instagram in late April.
Guys, it's time I finally fess up and give you guys the entire story of William G. I was in a toxic relationship with a semi-popular TikToker but famous video game modder. He prefers to be known as Maze for days, or the_Maze with a Z at the end. Now you listen here, William. You've insulted my family, manipulating me into feeling like the bad guy, but the main manipulation tactic that hurts me till this day is making me think I wanted to do the things that you wanted me to do with you that I never thought of doing in my life.
Maze confided his fat fetish to the teen, which led them to reveal their own. This escalated to the two role-playing together as they were goaded into acting out his fantasies. But, despite being a participant, they claim they only did so because they needed someone to talk to. Due to this fear of abandonment, they decided to test Maze by texting him from their 10-year-old cousin's phone. The victim confronted him, only for Maze to respond, I thought she was 14 like you. This is despite having explicitly told him before that she was 10. The relationship only deteriorated further after this as they began to argue constantly. It was finally broken off that May, with the final argument including him telling them, you have a sexy belly. After that, the victim blocked him. He would continue messaging them every day for the next month. When that didn't work, he began spamming their email addresses with both apologies and curses on their family. It got so bad that they contemplated calling the police until they suddenly received an email from someone claiming to be his mother.
Hello, this is Will's mother. I'd like to talk to you before you call the police. He has brought this situation to my attention, and I am not amused at the slightest. He is going to be grounded for a very long time. Could I see these screenshots of those role plays?
They immediately called this out as just being him, to which the next email was,
Okay, fine, but I just wanted to say we'll leave you alone. I just wanted to say that I've moved on. You don't have to worry about me again. Or my pitsy. We surrender. You win. Let's just forget about this ever happened. Hell, let's just forget about each other. Please.
Once this video was published, the Maze immediately began covering things up. On May 2nd, he changed his channel name to Starlight to distance himself from the allegations. He claimed it was due to sharing his email with a close associate that was now being sketchy. That was intended to set up his ultimate defense, that he wasn't actually William, and this had all been done by a hacker. For a moment, it seemed like he was going to pretend nothing even happened, that he would rebrand and hope everyone would forget. But surprisingly, on May 15th, he decided to delete his channel entirely. While it may seem like this came out of newfound beyond shame, it was entirely for self-preservation. You see, the day before, a screenshot of his iconic "not a pedophile" thumbnail went viral on Twitter. It accumulated nearly 70,000 likes. So, yeah, it was most likely that and not any guilt. Hours before pressing the button, he wrote one final post to his community. "I'm deleting this channel and leaving Friday Night Funkin'. For good this time. It's clear that someone like me is not fit to be a social media celebrity. And now it's gotten to the point where my family thinks I'm a liability. I used to love this community, but now I get scared every time I post something. I'm probably gonna be a fetish artist or something." And with that, Mays disappeared from the public eye. To this day, his whereabouts are unknown. It appears he's still active, as leaks have surfaced on 4chan of previously unseen creations. That includes another creepypasta-based mod. Other posters uncovered an alt account of his under the name Walter Universe, but it's since been deleted. The most recent leak occurred on November 2nd. An anonymous user posted his personal information as well as pictures of his genitals. In response, another claimed to report him to the police, though there's no evidence this actually happened. Of course, that didn't stop rumors from spreading, to the point that many now believe he's in prison. For better or for worse, as of the time of writing this, it is not the case. Kodo Modachi, also known as Lara, is a Brazilian animator who rose to prominence in 2021. Her first public video is a mod for Among Us, though her content covers a variety of different fandoms. That includes Sonic, Five Nights at Freddy's, and, of course, Friday Night Funkin'. She broke 200,000 views for the first time with an edit of Boyfriend spinning on a chair, and that growth only continued in the weeks that followed. Throughout February, her memes received tens of millions of views, but her main staple were original FNF mods that played into trends like the Imposter and Pico in a maid outfit. As a result, by April, she broke the 100,000 sub milestone. With such a meteoric rise to fame, it was only a matter of time before any skeletons were unearthed, but no one could have predicted she'd expose them herself. On May 9th, a rumor began that Lara was dating a 13-year-old boy. For reference, she was 18. This led to a confrontation in her Discord server where she confirmed it was true. Quit your bullshit, Kodo, and realize you're dating a child. So what? Lara attempted to defend herself by stating it was completely non-sexual. In a lengthy reply, she states they'd both done research to confirm it was legal. Then she compared it to a parental or sibling relationship. She writes, "I take the full responsibility and delicacy to help this child develop in life like a big sister or parent along with his parents. But if his parents aren't being a good example, I will be. This is, as pointed out by many, a common form of grooming. It's a way to build trust until the victim is of legal age." Upon realizing no one agreed with her, she deleted the entire server, but not before calling everyone disappointing and toxic. Surprisingly, though the revelation hit Twitter, it only reached about 100 people. It likely could have been swept under the rug at this point. That is, until she decided to vent about the incident on her community tab. In a several paragraph long rant, she reiterated her defense while adding, "I think this is why the FNF developers are slowly getting away from all of you." Immediately, the entire fandom reacted in disgust as comments piled in to call her out. Despite this, she doubled down. In response to one user, she claimed they judged adults too much. Eventually realizing how inescapable this backlash was, she eventually claimed it was a mistake. But even in this statement, she continued to make excuses. First, she claims to have not known what a groomer was, due to English being her second language. I, as a Brazilian who is still learning English, figured out yesterday what grooming means, and I feel rather disgusted and uncomfortable. However, she rejects being called a pedophile, and again attacks the character of her critics. What I did was a mistake, and you guys are just repeating yourselves like a broken record. If you all were parents, your kids would already be depressed. We all do something wrong in life, and it'd be hypocritical to blame others but not yourself. She then explains what the actual relationship was like, noting it didn't last a week, so it was impossible for her to corrupt a pure child like him in such a short span of time. That isn't a great argument because, even if true, the grooming would include their overall friendship. Regardless, she continues, "We used to give pets, hugs, some support, and arguments about sadness, play games with friends, or stream drawings before and after this relationship. In the end, we just confused being a brother and sister with this." While Lara claims it was a mistake and that she wasn't aware it was wrong, She later contradicted herself entirely. In a conversation with Harley TBS, she admits to knowing before their relationship. "Can I be completely honest? I knew it was wrong, but not the consequences. I didn't want to seem like I'm trying to excuse myself. But I didn't know this problem would be big." And as she got caught in lies, she started to characterize things much differently. For example, in a conversation with Red Knight 777, she claims to feel more like the kid as he was a bold guy. That idea is present in her initial argument, claiming he gave the care and attention she needed. It's clear she still didn't understand the issue, later stating, "If he's uncomfortable with it, he can just leave." And even after all of this, the two continued staying in contact due to their close friendship. The controversy died down after Lara made a post announcing her indefinite hiatus, but not because of the backlash. No, that's too presumptuous. It was actually due to the Friday Night Funkin' fandom becoming too chaotic. Unsurprisingly, this was all a diversion as she attempted to figure out a way to escape her baggage. It went into action on September 27th, when she completely rebranded herself as Mirth. That included deleting videos with a total of 14 million views, and the worst part is that it worked, with Lara making a complete recovery. Her channel got 30 million views in November and 12 million the month after. She gained 60,000 subscribers in December alone, easily surpassing the 200,000 milestone. Though this was briefly stunted by commenters exposing her identity, to this day she remains quite popular. Because of this, people began to dig deeper into her past, only to discover she'd done it before. Lara had been part of the Ace Attorney community under the name Cosmo when she was 17. This was first alluded to in a conversation with Red Knight, where she admitted, "I will confess to you, before I ever had a relationship with anyone, there was this kid that was like 13 or 14. He kept following me, saying he loved me. I felt uncomfortable. But in a leaked conversation, it was revealed she'd actually had an interest in that child. In fact, one associate of Lara from back then recalled, "She told me that if nothing sexual happens, she could date a 13-year-old boy, and she told me that she wouldn't do anything wrong with the child." That should sound eerily familiar, because not only had Lara lied about being unaware, it wasn't a mistake, but a pattern of behavior. One that is especially concerning given her content's appeal to children. Many began to fear that instead of understanding what she did wrong, she simply learned not to talk about it. Not helping that idea is the fact that upon returning, she kept defending herself. "You're still in contact with minors. I haven't committed any crimes. I don't need to cut myself off from the world. And I was very wrong for people to make me believe that I did need to." And that is where the story, unfortunately, ends. For the time being, it seems she'll only grow more popular despite widespread protest, continuing to make viral videos and grow her audience. Because of this, it's truly uncertain what the future holds for Mirth. Amor Ultra is an Indonesian YouTuber who first joined the site in 2013. He didn't upload until 3 years later, making animated short films and Let's Plays of Geometry Dash. They often featured his characters Bob and Bosip, who served as the channel's mascots. While getting some success over the years, by the end of 2019, he was stuck hovering around 5,000 subs. Because of this, he decided to take a break and completely rethink his content. Amor returned in March of 2020 with a total overhaul, including new designs for his characters. This second effort was kickstarted by a collaboration he did with the musician Boom Kitty. Their collaboration video accumulated over 1 million views, facilitating his growth over the year. And in April of 2021, he had doubled his sub count, breaking the 10,000 milestone. While finally making a name for himself, this was nothing in comparison to a few months later. That June, he released a Friday Night Funkin' mod featuring his very own mascots. It not only had new songs and menus, but also boasted original cutscenes with voice acting. That was quite a rare feat at the time, bringing a new wave of viewers to his channel. And that only continued as he produced more original mods. Several of his showcases quickly surpassed 1 million, and he started pulling averages of 300,000 views per video. In the month of August alone, he gained over 90,000 subscribers. By early December, his channel broke 200K. Amor was clearly a rising star, becoming influential as both an artist and content creator. But just as his come up was happening, this is when the cracks cracks began to show. In case it wasn't obvious, his mods were collaborations with many people. As his projects became more ambitious, he started hiring staff to work on them. Their largest at the time was an expansion for Versus Bob and Bosip called the EX Update. Unfortunately, due to it being so high profile, it was the target of leaks, and on November 27th, that included an early build of the game. This upset Amor so much that he pushed the release date to December 3rd, 1 week later, but as the deadline approached, it became apparent this wasn't possible. He lashed out at the team, constantly screaming at everyone. He scrapped many major features before overworking the coders to the point that one of them got sick. Then, the update was pushed out on December 12th as a complete buggy mess. The release was a disaster, as fans were very confused about the sudden drop in quality. In response, several members of his team spoke out explaining what happened. Amor would apologize in a Twitter voice memo, admitting that it was all his fault. The apology was taken somewhat well, with most willing to move on, but it would be thrown back in his face again just a week and a half later, when even worse allegations started to emerge. On Christmas Eve, no less. On December 24th, screenshots leaked of Amor talking to an individual named AetherDX. This was viewed as irresponsible, as she'd been exiled for alleged grooming. He responded in a twit longer, clarifying he didn't support her or her return. He simply replied because she claimed to be a better person, but this was in vain, as the floodgates quickly opened, and over the next 24 hours, several allegations surfaced of his own inappropriate behavior with minors. The first came not from the Friday Night Funkin community, but Geometry Dash. In a Reddit post, an anonymous user claims to have been in a private Discord with him since 2018. They write that, for the longest time I've known him, he's been acting really weird, asking for not safe for work content from minors and talking about doing lewd acts with them. This screenshot from 2019 has him stating his desire to make NSFW of a 14 and 12-year-old couple. It's worth noting Amor himself was 16 at the time, though he still calls it pedo shit. The author shows it wasn't an isolated incident before proving it was his account. He's then shown doing the same thing to two 13-year-old boys. That includes fantasizing about them having intercourse in intimate detail. He calls them sexy and tells one he'd like to suck their hole. In another screenshot, he refers to them as his victims and asks if he can lewd them. When one uncomfortably responds, maybe, he replies, that's a yes. In the comments, one user claims to have also been on a server with him. They allege he pressured a 13-year-old into drawing not safe for work art. They also accuse him of drawing porn of a 14-year-old. While these weren't substantiated at the time, they do align with the evidence released 7 hours later. On December 25th, another modder named Colson posted screenshots he'd been sent anonymously. The first is a series of tweets with all identifying information removed. I don't want to post this on main since it'd get a lot of traction, and Amor would know who I am. I was told this by a friend who showed proof that he has a not safe for work alt. Then he shows the artwork. Consensual drawings of him and his friends having sex. The youngest here was 17, the oldest 19, and Amor 18. While not egregious, bear in mind that this was the first evidence he drew such material. Yet, in the replies, one user indicates it was well known behind the scenes. They then show a drawing of his character having sex with a girl he liked that was done without her knowledge. Hours later, the 12-year-old from the Geometry Dash Reddit post came forward. She first clarified being 13 at the time before giving her side of events. In the new screenshot, he confirms drawing art of them that he'd kept for himself. She reluctantly asks to see it, only for him to send crop photos confirming their existence. He later asked her to write smut fanfiction of her and her boyfriend for him to jerk off to. She agreed, only for him to then send art of her performing fellatio. The final accusation emerged shortly after her thread by a user named Nala. In the screenshot from 2021, Amor can be seen asking a 15-year-old to show their pee-pee. When they respond, "Why would I show it to you?" he replied, "No reason. I don't know why I even asked. Sorry about that." He then can be seen linking them directly to his not safe for work account. On December 27th, Amor issued a statement responding to everything. Rather than deny the accusations, however, he admits they are true and said that he was now seeking therapy. He writes, "I'm not asking for your forgiveness or redemption. I'm truly sorry for my actions and the people that I've hurt, made uncomfortable, or disappointed. I'm sorry I've made so many bad decisions that have led many others to being upset." He then states his intention to leave the internet to pursue professional treatment, and to this day, he's stuck true to that promise. He has yet to return to social media in any form, despite it once being his family's main source of income, and so it remains uncertain if he'll ever attempt a return, and how his audience will respond if he ever were to return. Throughout this video, I've referenced a community of fans relegated to 4chan. They're known as /FunkG, gathering in a series of threads to discuss the game. Well, in August of 2021, they released a mod celebrating the site's history and board culture. Titled Versus V, it's largely based on a series of comics from 2008. Despite what you may expect, it's very well made and covers a lot of internet history. This led the mod to become quite popular, especially after being uploaded to Game Banana. However, that also meant it was subject to great backlash. The first issue some had was the abundance of racial and homophobic slurs. Moreover, it baselessly calls several popular creators pedophiles. Still, more sensitive types were able to look past the offensive humor to enjoy an undeniably high-effort mod. But that all changed when a few days later, the game was alleged to contain images of child exploitation. On August 14th, an update to the mod was released and quickly pushed onto Game Banana. While otherwise innocuous, a moderator investigated and found images hidden in the files. This led them to trash the entire project, with the reason being NSFW images depicting minors found in the files. They then took to the site's Discord server to tag everyone in an announcement. It has been discovered that the newest update for the mod contains new files in which it includes pictures that depict content of a minor. If you have the newest version of the mod, please delete it immediately. If it looks exactly how it looks in the picture provided, you have the new update and should immediately delete the mod from your operating system entirely. The community went into a panic, with word quickly spreading about the incident. People began to claim the mod contained real-life CP, with several tweets about it going viral. FNF Versus V has CP in the files, delete it. To anyone who decided to play the Versus V mod, the Friday Night Funkin' Versus V mod has illegal content in the files, please delete it. This led some to become paranoid that the FBI was going to kick down their doors. They started giving instructions on how to destroy all evidence of such material. The most utilitarian way is to delete and overwrite the VMod with 10 passes. This ensures the files aren't readable. Anyone who was skeptical was questioned about their intentions. In this exchange, one user states they couldn't find any evidence in their files. Wait, what? I checked everything and didn't find anything. Why did you go searching for it? But somehow, the accusations escalated even further. Before long, it was alleged the entire game was secretly malware. This began after someone claims to have looked into the EXE and found a keylogger. They advised anyone who downloaded the mod to immediately make a new account on Discord. Before long, that was distorted into it being a cryptocurrency miner. But then, someone invented the narrative that it was a conspiracy to hack every large account in the community. This was partially due to an incident occurring at the same time. On September 3rd, a moderator on Game Banana was compromised by a hacker named Arch. He deleted several popular mods before stating, "It would be cool to see the Friday Night Funkin' community in flames." This led people to attribute him as the creator of the original /V mod. Who is Arch? I've heard they're from Game Banana and are involved with FNF mods. So what was the point of this? One of the creators of the Versus V-Tan mod, who says he wants to get all kitties off of the game because it's cringe and unbased. He put a keylogger in the mod, probably because he knew people would play it, and then got the accounts of all the big people. It was only after this that someone involved with the mod directly finally spoke out. Dude 0216, who charted the songs, wrote a community post to clear the air. He clarifies that there wasn't any virus or keylogger, and that it was just a FNF mod. This should have been obvious given the third-party scans and the fact that the entire source code was public from the beginning, but he goes on to finally address the event that started this all. Second of all, about that image in the files, the reason it was put in there is so that the mod got taken off of Game Banana. The person who created the mod wasn't the person that posted it there, and they wanted it to be taken off of Game Banana, which is why they added that image in the update. And by the way, I didn't know about this addition until around 5 minutes before the mod got deleted. Indeed, it had only been done because the mod got too popular and was put on the site without permission. Now, he doesn't exactly correct the record of what the image was, so I'd like to make that clear. The file, while disgusting, is not literal CP. It's a crudely drawn MS Paint comic from 2014 of an underage board mascot being SA'd. It definitely warrants being removed, but no one was ever at risk of going to prison. While this might seem like an odd story to end things on, I felt it'd highlight an issue I had doing research. There is a common tendency to grossly exaggerate claims in the community, to the point that it's difficult to take anything at face value. This is especially problematic when it comes to accusations as serious as grooming. I hope this story story can show you how important it is to be responsible before spreading such allegations. While I've covered many communities on this channel, Friday Night Funkin' is unique in one specific regard. Most of the largest creators are quite young, including the Degenerates discussed before. Once again, I have to attribute this to how easy it is for anyone to make their own mods. It creates a simple path to fame that can propel even children to the very forefront. That can be an admirable thing, or as this video shows, a mistake. Because a lot of people have no idea how to handle the responsibilities of being popular. So many of these cases happened within months or weeks of them attaining success. That's almost unimaginable for most fandoms, yet in this community it's commonplace. And to put it all into perspective, the games only existed for 2 years. Every single controversy or fallen star has occurred within that short time span. At a certain point, one has to ask themselves if it's even sustainable. It's a community built off modding a game that isn't complete and hasn't received an update in a year. If it does teeter off, who knows if we'll ever see anything like it again. But with how many people have slipped and fallen in that environment, maybe we shouldn't. I've been Turkey Tom, thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.
I've heard it 1,000 times before, and it's just not that